All right.
Yeah.
Dacoda Miracle.
Yes,
Yeah,
that
it's
is
a
my name.
miracle. Thank you
Dude.
for sitting down and talking backstage at the hood.
Yeah, appreciate you having
We
me.
kind of just set cameras up, lights. Robert's behind the camera, and
Yeah,
lights, camera, action. So let's talk about
looking great.
comedy.
Yeah, man.
How long have you been doing comedy?
Stand-up comedy. I mean, I've been hilarious my whole life, I think.
From birth, that you
Just-
the doctor slapped you, and you had a quick quip.
Yeah, no, I said harder. That's no, but ask my mom, my grandma. They've thought I've been very hilarious since birth. But no, but doing comedy professionally since about 18. Started with Comedy Sports. It's an improv group. They're in 27 different cities, but I started in the San Jose group. That's right downtown San Jose, California. And then stand-up comedy, I've only been doing it for about a year since you saw me at the open mics at the Hood, you know.
And you're hosting more than you're standing up, if that's even a thing. But I mean, I think it's great that you're a great host. You're like,
Thank you.
The number one dude for hosting. And, we always have that little talk before a show. Like, do you want to host? Do you not want? Because I don't want to deprive you from time.
Yeah.
But again, hosting is it's another muscle to flex.
It's definitely another skill. You pretty much you set the tone for the show, and I feel like Comedy Sports really helped me with that, because if you don't know what Comedy Sports is, it's short form improv. So you got to get the crowd's attention and you got to keep it, because in today's day and age, so many people have short attention spans. Like you've seen it here, where a comedian will be low energy, trying out new stuff, and they kind of just lose the crowd. And when you are a host, you kind of come up after, someone who's not doing so well, and you got to get them back on.
Kind of picking up the slack.
You got to pick up the slack and really get that energy flowing, and if you start the show as a host not feeling great or just kind of low energy, that'll set the tone for the rest of the show. And in between sets too, it could really
it's a delicate
derail.
Thing. It really is. But you always do a great job. I mean,
Thank
how
you.
many shows it's been, but we've been doing.
It's been a lot.
How long have we been doing the Hood now? What, over a year now?
Yeah, the first show I did here was with Frank Castillo. I was still 20 years old. It was right. I think it was a week before my birthday, which is in June, and so it was like June 10th or something.
That's the very first show, because Frank was the first comic that we really established this night with, and that's Benji, not Benji. Who brought him in?
Jacob.
Sorry,
can
Jacob.
too. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Wow. Yeah.
You guys look alike.
Yeah. yeah.
Sorry, Jacob. But no, Jacob, actually, I always give him credit, because he was one of the first persons to be like, you got to check out Jeremiah Watkins. You got to check out this dude. You got to check out that dude.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, why don't I go to the Comedy Store and check it out for myself?
Yeah.
So I always thank him for that.
No, I mean, he's a big comedy fan, just like myself. And, you've been exposed now to some great comedians, so it's like, yeah, if you're a big comedy fan and you know what to look for, he was the perfect person to.
He was the catalyst to make it happen, and I'm always indebted to him for that.
Yeah.
That's why whenever I have a chance, if I can remember your name.
Yeah, if you remember what he looks like,
yeah. So, but I think my correlation with Benji is because he's the one that invited Benji, and since then Benji and I have become friends, and the yada yada. But nonetheless, thank you, Mr. Cantu.
Yeah, no, he's the person that kind of took me under his wing to get Plan B, which is another local bar here, and then Coachella Brewing Company. He was running all those until he had his health issues.
Yeah, most definitely.
And then I kind of took over those and then expanded
he was
on
the
myself.
host, and then when he got came down with his ailment, and which he's recovered and
he's great now. Yeah.
And dare I say, funnier now.
Yeah, that's what everyone's been saying. Everyone's been saying, like, man, I'm so glad he got that, because he's so much more funny now. I'm like, I don't know. It maybe those things, those brushes with death, kind of help out in the comedy world.
We're all dying.
We're all dying. Yeah,
that's his thing. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, everyone should live like you're gonna die. Sooner.
Sooner than later. But again, what a better way to spend your time on this earth, making people laugh.
Yeah, no, that's been my, my passion. I mean, 6th grade, and my talent show in my little small town of Hollister, I did stand up. you know, and I was just such a big fan that I wanted to emulate.
Do you
someone,
remember
you know?
a bit or a premise?
I talked about the bus. I talked because I rode the bus to school.
The wheels on the bus. Go around
I did
what,
some.
I mean,
like
can you elaborate?
thicker. I did some dice clay about the bus. I don't know.
How does
like
one at that age discover comedy?
Bad parents. No, no. My parents were amazing, but whenever I would go visit my dad, I would be with him every other weekend. He showed me comedy. You know, every
who were the
Friday
comics?
night.
Who were the comics?
I mean, Bill Engvall comes to mind. Dane Cook comes to mind. Bill Burr. Just all these guys that were big. And
2000s.
Still, early 2000s to mid 2000s. I would just watch the Comedy Central Presents. You know, I know like. Nick Swartzen was someone I watched on Comedy Central Presents.
Nick Swartzen. If I could ever get him in a room, Nick, if you're ever listening or watching, you got a sold out show if you just sign your name.
He's great. And people have told me I look like him. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, that I've always wanted to meet him.
All that stuff. He's a genius. You know, the car bed, Grandma's boy. He can't do wrong. Reno 911.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love if you're ever watching, Nick, come to the desert. We need you.
No, he's one of the favorites.
His voice is just funny.
Just the cute, you know, like, he's great.
Something about him, like some comics, you know, they go up there, they do their bit, but just like he's just funny. Like I look at him and laugh.
Yeah, no, and that's you know that's something a lot of people look for because some people have amazing jokes, but they're I don't know, their cadence just isn't there, you know.
Yeah, but with him or other guys that are like that, they can you know turn their head and look at someone in the crowd and then oh my god, you know.
Yeah, and it comes with a certain level of notoriety too. Like I feel like once you're at a certain level, people just expect to laugh when they come to you, and so they're already in that giddy mood, and it's kind of like you could get to that level, like that Richard Pryor level or whatever, where you just silence is the funniest thing. You know, just a facial expression will kill a room.
Even a great local, Matthew.
Yeah.
I mean, not to give away his bit, but you know, people are going to see him, and we'll sit down shortly and talk to him. Yeah. But he does this thing where he gets up, and for maybe 10 seconds, he grabs a mic. Yeah. Looks around, and then already he's already setting it. And they're already dying, and he's like, you know, I don't want to give his bit away, but you know. It is what it is.
No, I know what bit you're talking about. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
His name was Carl.
Yeah. That's a great one.
That's it. But check out Matthew. He's great. Very
but no, good. I mean, there's comedy in silence. You know, my
just
dad,
like with music. Yeah, it's the ghost notes or it's in between. Yeah.
Yeah. No, my dad always, you know, he thinks he's hilarious and he's very dad jokey. Kind of.
That's my humor is the
dad joke.
I'm not a dad.
You love Andrew Edelman,
but
right?
I love. I just like I have a bunch of dad jokes and that's just my thing. So
No, but my dad, he's very kind of old school. You know, says stuff that's inappropriate, but he thinks is hilarious. You know, kind of not PC. But he tells me all the time. He's like, you know, in high school, whenever I make a presentation or whatever, he's like, I would just be silent and just look at people and it'd make them laugh. He goes, you need to do that. You know, like, just be silent. Just be silent and, like, it'll kill him. I'm like, well, you're pretty much telling me I'd be funnier if I didn't talk. Like, you know, like.
It's hard to interpret that, I'm sure, at a younger age. I mean, unless you know, are around these comedians and see, like you said, like the cadence, like the, you know, the body language and.
Oh, totally.
It's a whole thing. It's, you know, it's a whole show. I find it fascinating, actually.
I only have so many bits about me looking like a lesbian. You know, like that. That runs out quick.
How does that? I know I don't want to give away your bit, like, you know, same with Matthew, but when you do the bit about the Dinah Shore, the whole thing, which is great because it's kind of a call at Palm Springs. So you did a show up north. Did you do that joke?
So that's the thing. The Dinah Shore bit, it's very local. You know, like, you know, only the locals kind of understand it, and so I kind of I played more on, you know, Palm Springs is like the gay Mecca sort of thing. I look like a lesbian, so I do well with women, but only lesbian women sort of thing. So I played up more on that than like just local stuff because, you know, there's a lot of, you know, it's a gay Mecca and also, you know, a retirement community.
Playing into stereotypes.
Which
was what comedy kind of is about, kind of, you know, kind of putting a light on, you know, because there's truth in all this.
Yeah, and it works down here because, you know, when I talk about driving around down here and you know, one of my bits is, you know, all these streets are named after famous people, Sinatra, Gerald Ford, Eisenhower. You know, so I make the bit about, you know, I drive around and I drive next to people that the street is named after. You know, like it's a lot of old people. And that only works down here. If I went up to Hollister, my hometown, I was like, yeah, you know,
what
down there.
What are the street names in Hollister? Banana Republic?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Zoomies?
Yeah.
On the cross street of Pacific, whatever, another,
yeah.
You know.
All the mall names, yeah. There's Macy's Drive.
Yeah.
No, it's like there's
Shack.
Fairview Road. There's First Street, Second Street. I think every town has First Street, Second Street, whatever.
Is Hollister, is it based on, like, there's a clothing company,
Yes.
Is that from that, or is it just a name?
It's actually not. There's actually about 3 different Hollisters across the United States, and they're not by beaches at all.
Even with Palm Springs, there's like one in Florida or something. There's like there's a couple of them.
Palm Springs,
Hollywood.
Well, yeah.
Weird.
Oh, yeah, no, Florida's totally trying to become the next California, you know.
They have Disneyland. I don't know who had it first. I think it was in Anaheim that had it.
It was in Anaheim, yeah,
Okay.
Disneyland, and then they made Disney World, and then they also have a Universal Studios over there, you know. Like
I've never been to that side. I always hear it's the weather is pretty insane.
The weather, yeah, but they have hurricanes. We don't. You know,
I
come
thought
out
hurricane
here.
season was over.
Yeah. You could get a good earthquake here, but you know, you'll stay dry at least.
Yeah.
When the building's falling down on you,
That's the one thing about California, especially here in the desert. We are on the fault line.
San Andreas, right?
San Andreas Fault. I mean, I live in Bermuda Dunes, and just driving, you know, a little down the way, there's an oasis called the Thousand Palms Canyon Oasis. It's pretty awesome, but you can actually see the crack in the earth. Yeah. And it's, you know, a mile from my house.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Hollister actually is quoted as being the earthquake capital of the world.
Really?
Because the San Andreas Fault does run through it as well as down here. But there's a kind of an area in Hollister where it's the land is off like this. About, you know, the hill is taller than this building, you know, like where the fault actually is, and it's like shifted, and it's kind of weird, you know, to see that's the fault, you know, like where you could see the split in the ground, you know.
It's one thing to know that earthquakes exist, but then one thing to actually see. I mean, you talk like you see the aftermath of, you know, buildings, and, you know, hopefully people don't pass from it, but some people do. But they always say the big one's coming. The big one's coming. So
yeah, I don't know.
You know,
there's Loma Prieta.
I mean, the mountains are you know, that's how the mountains are here, because of an earthquake,
the fault lines,
earthquakes and everything. And but that's the one thing about living in California. I mean, there's been a couple times where I've, you know, been awake and things are shaking, and it's like, okay, here it goes.
Well, yeah, just recently, the 4th of July.
There was a huge one,
Yeah, 4th of July, and then the next
7 point
day.
something.
Yeah, it was located, really
hit
close.
Los Angeles hard.
Yeah.
Palm Springs, Palm Desert. And that was kind of when everybody's like, oh, you know, here it comes. But
I mean, there was the one on 4th of July, and then the next day too, at night, I believe. But I was in Big Bear and still felt it up there. You know, like it was pretty violent up there as well. But I don't know. I mean, I have my bag, my getaway bag or whatever. Do
you really?
I have
what do you
clothes
keep?
back.
What do you keep?
You know, you gotta have the flashlight. You gotta have some candles, some condoms. You know, you never know what's gonna happen. But no clothes, some water, jugs. It probably wouldn't last as long as it should, but you know.
What would you do if the big one hit?
If the big one hit, I don't know, because I don't have family down here. Like I have my uncles that live down here, but all my family's in Northern California. So I mean, I guess. If it was like a San Andreas, you know, Dwayne the Rock Johnson situation,
The Rock's gonna come in a helicopter.
I'm waiting for him. You know, I'll just be like on my roof if it's still there, just waving him down. No, but I don't know. I think I would try to find my family. Like it would turn into a, you know, 80s action movie. Like I need my family. Like
Rambo.
I need to find my family. Yeah. Just
he drew
try
first
to.
blood.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, I'd rage a war against Mother Nature, and you know. No, but just probably try to go back to Hollister. Hopefully they're waiting for me. I don't know.
I mean, I'd have to sit down and talk to, you know, a seismologist, if that's even a word, or what do they call it? Seismic, whatever. But nonetheless, I'm wondering what, like, if there's ever like any renderings of like what the big one, because they say the big one's the brand, whatever they name it, but what that actually looks like a simulation.
Yeah.
I mean, are we talking the buildings are gonna all fall apart? I mean, what constitutes a big? Was it like 9 point something? I mean,
I think
the Richter scale they call it.
I think the big one isn't necessarily if it's a 9.0 or not, but it's kind of where it's located, because the Loma Prieta, the one that happened in San Francisco during the World Series in 1989. That tore down buildings in Hollister. It was centered near major. San Francisco. The Bay Bridge collapsed on itself, not into the water, but one level collapsed on the other level, and it was pretty devastating. But I think it was only like a 6.9. But because of where it was located in a dense population, I think that it just did more damage. So it's like you could have a 9.0 in somewhere where there's not a lot of structures, and it won't do as much damage as like a 6.5 in the downtown Los Angeles. So the big one could be just a 6.5 centered downtown Los Angeles that creates lots of damage in the infrastructure.
I gotta get a geologist on the podcast.
Yeah.
Fact check everything, but nonetheless, very interesting.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's scary that it could just happen at any time. Yeah. But
after that happened, I'm not one to be paranoid, but after that I was like thinking, okay, well maybe it could be coming, but again, I can't even fathom what it would be. That's why I'm curious to know what is it? What's it gonna look like?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in a 2-story building where I live. And
are you? Yeah. Me too. Me too. Actually, I'm in a condo.
I'm on the bottom level. So.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. So. Yeah. But I got a Tempur-Pedic, so maybe I'll just sink into it.
It'll just encapsulate you. Yeah, you'll just be in a cocoon. It's wild. I grew up around a lot of Mormons or Latter-day Saints people. I don't know what they prefer. It's like I don't know what they prefer to be called. But formerly known as Mormons. But
the Book of Mormon.
The Book of Mormon. I love that. But they're always prepared. They put their kids through like Eagle Scouts, all this stuff. So growing up around that,
I think that's actually not a bad thing.
It's smart.
Because again, like you're learning a life skill. Maybe it's not practical, but again, why not learn how to start a fire and how to fend for yourself if possible.
But I mean, these kids, these Latter-day Saints people. I don't know. These
what
people.
Do you mean those
I know
people?
those people. They also that's how I got into like theater and comedy sports, because in high school not only were they involved in the community with that, but they also did a lot of theater and improv and stuff. And so that's why I hung out with a lot of them, is because getting into that's all they did. They're very you could talk all you want about them, but they're pretty involved in the community. That's their plan to take over everything.
Are there any comedians that are of that religion that you know of?
More, there's a guy out of. It's kind of funny because he has a bunch of tattoos up to his neck, on his face. I forget his name. He's very popular, but he's out of Utah, and he is Mormon faith. But I forget his name right now.
So Google. How would you Google it if we could fact check things?
I could look it up right now. But he Siri, Mormon comedian. Tattoos comedian. I'll get him right here.
Yeah, why not?
This is him.
This is our very first fact check on
first fact check. You need it. He performs at the Comedy Store. His name is.
This is a major shout out.
He's already very popular. And Imagine Dragons are also Mormon. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, they're. Gosh, I wish it was tagged. But this is his face. This is actually from the Comedy Store. I don't think they tagged him though. This is him.
Oh wow, yeah. For the people looking,
not someone you would think is Mormon.
He might look like he might, run the prison yard or something.
Can we?
Let's. There you go. That's that guy. What's his name again? All right. Yeah. Well, that was 5 minutes of.
I know, 5 minutes and nothing. I mean, he did. Yeah. They didn't tag him though. It's with like Andrew Santino, whatever.
So
he's very popular.
Google
clean comic, tattoos, Mormon.
Ask Jeeves,
do all that stuff.
Yeah.
But he's very popular. But other than that, though, I don't know any like really super religious. I mean, Jim Gaffigan, I believe he's like Catholic. He talks about that a lot. But I don't know really any other comedians.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of. I mean, not to pigeonhole comedians, but a lot of it is, I wouldn't say bashing religion, but a lot of them do, they touch on the subject. But I wonder how the church feels about, being outspoken. But then again, that's your own can of worms to deal with Satan.
Yeah. I actually have a question for you. Have you ever, because you've been booking these shows and seeing so many comedians come through, have you ever thought about doing anything? Like
in what sense?
Getting on stage, telling some jokes?
Well, this is I'm on stage with my band.
With your band, yeah.
We got like 3 sold out shows coming up.
Yeah.
House of Blues, Black Box Tijuana, and a festival in Mexico, and thousands of people. And we do big shows. We've done Coachella. We're very lucky. We're friends and with the band called The Addicts, a very legendary punk band from England.
I've seen their posters all over this place. Yeah.
The guitar player for that band, Pete D, he's produced my album that's going to be out shortly.
Okay.
So they take us on tour. We went to Mexico City with them, did a whole South America tour.
Yeah.
San Francisco, a lot of stuff like that. Chicana Batman's another band that's very popular, and so I'm like the feature, if you will, with these other bands. So I kind of have that's my stage time.
Yeah.
The way I express my humor is through memes.
Okay.
So like Chelsea Skidmore, she's like, you're the funniest friend on Facebook. I'm like, well, I'll take that as a compliment because like
funniest memer.
Because that's how I mean, not that I'm making these memes, but if I see one, a lot of it's music related, comedy related. I will steal them.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, that's what the internet's for.
No,
after Lars Ulrich and Napster, it's fair game.
Yeah. No, I it's kind of funny because you post memes and all that, and you could take memes and everyone repost memes, something they find funny, they want to share it with people. It's kind of funny in stand up. You can think someone else is funny, but you can't steal their jokes. That's like one of the biggest.
Like Rogan and Mencia.
Yeah, Rogan Mencia.
That was a big one.
Yeah, Louis and Dane Cook. There was a beef with them too.
That's rough. I mean.
Yeah. And there's premises too.
I'm sure that's been going on for eons. And, but then again, like I know there's other communities where they have their writers and like maybe one guy's going toward take some jokes with you, see how they do.
Yeah.
But it's another thing to say these are mine.
Hands
that's
off.
different. That's different.
Oh no, it is different. It's just funny how like and with music too, you could play the same hits every single night. Like a new album comes out, you play over and over and over, and people listen to it over and over and over, and they get that kind of same feeling. With jokes, if you do it over and over and over, people are like, all right, well, what's next? What's new? You got to keep coming up with new stuff.
Comedy is. It's different than music because again, like I was talking to Ian Edwards and he was saying to me, when you do a special or you tape something to an album, he says it's a funeral for the material. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like a send off to that. Now continue, because that's the one thing with comedy. I'm sure some bits, you can do some callbacks or whatever,
Yeah.
But again, you got to keep going.
You got to keep thinking of new stuff, and that's why I, am more inclined to produce shows and build a comedy scene out here than being a headliner and putting all my efforts into coming up with new stuff and, being a touring comedian. I'd rather, bring people to me and produce shows and have a place for them to perform than, like do stand up.
It's like
the rest
having
of my
your
life.
cake and eating it too, or whatever type of thing. It's awesome because again, we're kind of the guys in the desert that are hip to what's happening,
shows,
and you got your ear to the ground with these people. I got boots on the ground.
Yeah.
Pun intended.
Literally.
Literally boots on the ground.
Yeah.
Scouting these comedians, and we book a lot of people from the store in Los Angeles, and this is a very new thing to the desert, very special. I have to explain that, I'm sure, as do you, to these comedians. This is very special, what you're doing, whether there's 5 people or 100 people or 300 people, whatever it is. This is special. This doesn't happen. This isn't LA. It's not oversaturated. It's if you come out here, I hope you appreciate what it is. I mean, some crowds are unforgiving, but that's what the bouncers are for, to kick them out.
Yeah, and I think that they do appreciate it because they're so used to having LA crowds where they're, maybe it's a sold out show, but they're people in LA, they're in their own bubble, and they come out to an area like Palm Desert, Rancho Mirage, or whatever, and they're exposed to a whole different type of person. Like coming to the Hood here, that's a rough crowd, compared to the people that are going to shows in LA, because people that come in here, they're here to drink, they're regulars of the Hood, they spend a lot of time here on their free time, and so they're not necessarily like looking for a comedy show.
It's kind of it's a room to really test yourself. If you
yeah,
want an easy
for sure.
way out, this isn't the room. But then again, we do run the show professional. If somebody is, trying
Someone's
to
being an
steal the
asshole.
show, you're out of here. We run it smooth, but then again, that's what these rooms are for. Work it out. I tell my comics, I'm paying you regardless. Go up there and do your thing. Like I had Jamie Kennedy's like, he was back here in this very room. He's like, well, what should I talk about? I said, talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah.
You're
and
here
he had
to
a great time.
And he had a great time, and he's returned twice, and he'll be back again.
Yeah.
So that goes to
great.
show that whether it's the dive bar or the Coachella Polo Grounds, it's fair game, and comedy's here to stay.
And it builds a muscle for them too, because I've talked to a lot of comedians, and I'm like, it's because I have other rooms that are even more rough, where there's not a lot of people, and they go, if you grind in these rooms, you could make it in any room. If you're used to these shows where 5 people show up or 20 people show up, or people are just at the bar trying to drink, not paying attention. Not that this room is like that, because it's built into something where people actually come for that.
I mean,
but
we've had Pauly Shore.
Not to
be Mr. Name Drop, but we've had some really cool names here.
This is the place where people go that they've. They know that there's comedy here, but I have other rooms that are
you got
once
Drink, you got Plan B, you got CV Brewery.
Yeah.
What else you got out here?
I'm working on more. I'm actually working with CV Food Trucks to bring shows to Indio right now. At the Indio Mall, kind of a rundown mall that are trying to revamp and make something. So there's going to be like some festival. Like a 2-day festival that they want to bring music and comedy out there, and so
I think it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, no, and we could expose a lot of cool things to Indio, which you and I
the city of festivals they call it, but yes.
And we're in we're in Palm Desert right now. Drink is in Rancho Mirage, CVB is in Thousand Palms, and so is Plan B. But the more we could spread into Coachella Valley, the better, because there's people that live in Indio and Coachella don't necessarily come to, Palm Desert or Rancho Mirage to see shows.
We're giving them, variety in different cities, because the desert's basically made out of what? We got Palm Springs, Desert Hot Springs, Cathedral City, Palm Desert, Rancho Mirage, Indio, Coachella,
La Quinta.
Yeah,
they're all these. Yeah.
But, that's our geography. I hate to do this, but we got to wrap it up.
Yeah, no worries.
Tell us we got to cut.
No, and I just want to say I appreciate everything you've done here. Getting it started with Jacob and keeping the ball rolling, because me doing comedy for a year, I wouldn't be able to kind of rub shoulders with the people that I've rubbed shoulders with, and I wouldn't be the person I am running these shows without having the experience at the place, at the Hood. So I really appreciate everything you've been doing.
And I appreciate you, because you do a hell of a job.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Dacoda. So
Appreciate
all
it.
the best, and let's get the Instagram.
Yeah, Dacoda Miracle, at Dacoda Miracle.
You got a podcast
everything.
too.
I do, yeah. It is called Not My Proudest Moment. It's myself and Matthew Maloney. We're just starting. We're on YouTube and Podbean, hopefully on iTunes soon. So
awesome.
Check it out.
Thank you again.
Yeah, no, of course.
Right on.
Thank you. Cheers.